everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Jess. You're watching Keto Rewind. Thank you for clicking on today's video. Now, today is a week 163, I think, update of my keto journey, my story to rewind my health from morbidly obese to a healthy weight with a ketogenic lifestyle, and also I'm adding how I'm overcoming my emotional side of this journey. But before I dive into that, this is just my story. I'm not a medical expert, not a doctor. I just am sharing what has worked and what has not worked and what I've learned about my keto journey. So if that sounds good to you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up. That really helps get my video seen. And with that said, let's jump into today's video. Okay, so I've been taking a course for the past couple of weeks with Corinne Crabtree, which is basically the No BS weight loss program. I'm gonna link below the podcast, lots of good stuff. Now, obviously with anybody's program, you're not gonna be like 100% all in on, everything they say. It's not the end all be all. So what I'm doing, I was taking points of what she says that really resonate with me, and I'm diving deep on those issues, and everything is like clicking right now. So it has been kind of an emotional week, because like as I'm as I'm doing something, all of a sudden I'll catch what I'm doing because I'm aware of these things that I normally kind of didn't really pay attention to in the past, or I wasn't aware that I did these things, because this whole thing is about, why am I doing this? Why? Why? Like, how can I fix this? So, but by diving into this stuff deep, I'm learning the behaviors and identifying a behavior versus a fact versus, the addict in me speaking, the sugar addict in me, like that justification process. So it's been an emotional week. The more you dive deep and you learn the behaviors, you can understand why you're doing things so that you can make a better way to like cope or make a new habit or know an area that you can really improve on. So, and sometimes, like in my case, and a lot of these things I'm gonna say in this video, the facts, whether I want to agree with them or not, facts are facts. Some I'm like, yes, others I'm like, crap, but it doesn't change the fact that a fact is a fact. And when you own that truth, it just starts opening doors. We'll just leave it at that. So I have a bunch of notes because there is a lot to unpack here. Digging into my emotional side of my weight loss journey. It's been eye-opening, it's been uncomfortable, it's been yucky, it's been maddening, it's been disgusting, it's been annoying, it's been all those things. Because when you dive into these issues and you're looking at it, you don't want to own these truths, you don't want to like, yep, that's what I'm doing, like that negative emotion that floods the minute you find something that you could improve on. Not immediately throwing myself to the wolves or beating myself up when I discover something that I maybe don't appreciate about myself that can be improved. So this week, it's just been like connecting dots and making some sort of sense of this whole thing. Because I'm 3 years into this journey, and I have been through a lot. I've shared more than normal people would ever share publicly. I feel like if I can understand what I'm doing, I can find a way to retrain that voice in your head that tells you, oh, you want more, more, more. That the voice of reason in your head says you don't need more, like finding that balance and of being satisfied, but yet not giving in and letting you bounce off the rails. So after a lot of long walks this past week, a lot of my good thoughts come during my actual workouts in the gym, where I'll do a set of something, and then in that break between sets, the thoughts that come through my mind that coming up to the surface, like make a mental note of it so that I can start addressing this stuff. There's a reason it's bubbling up to the surface. First things, before I get to this next part, I will say, do not come at my mom for what I'm about to say. My mom, I am not mad at my mom for where I am today. I'm actually really proud of who I am today because of my mom. But when you grow up with obese parents, specifically my mom, who was a yo-yo habitual dieter, but you know, there's times where you're like, no, that didn't affect me. But when you start dialing into your own stuff, you start unpacking stuff, it's like, oh, well, maybe it could explain some of these behaviors. But I want to say my mom meant the absolute best. Do not come at her. I do not blame her 1 second. However, I completely sympathize and get it. As a mom of 2 little girls myself, I would never want my girls to have a obesity problem. It absolutely sucks. Thankfully, I didn't have this part of my life my whole life. I only had it once I moved out of my house and had my own life. So with all that being said, don't come at my mom. I'm only sharing this to help you understand where I'm coming from. So the first thing is, with both of my parents being obese or having obesity issues, I learned a lot of those behaviors. The all or nothing approach, like, hopping from one diet to the next. It's you don't really understand it as a kid, but you pick up the behavior without the understanding behind it. So although my mom did her absolute best to prevent my sister and I from ever having an obesity problem, it certainly explains a lot of why I do the things that I do. So the first thing is, she had an enormous control over the food in our house. And that's being someone who was obese and trying to fix herself, doing every possible thing she could do. Of course there was going to be an enormous control on our food, because she didn't want that for us. She wanted better for us, so... but unfortunately, that does come at a cost too. When there's too much control, there's too much emphasis on the food, it tends to really not always be a solution. Sometimes it creates problems. So like, for instance, fast food in general, or I should say McDonald's specifically, was forbidden. Like, we did not eat out growing up. It was, for one, it was too expensive. We couldn't afford it. 2, it was crap food, and my mom knew about it and knew it was crap and didn't want us to eat crap. And, it was just not allowed. No, we never got to eat out. So I'll add it on to that towards that point in a minute. When I go to my friends' houses, I would be so excited because they ate normal food and I would eat all the food, plus we were kids and we just were like eating machines anyways, but it was like so awesome to go to other friends' houses to be able to just eat all these things that I wasn't allowed to have. So again, this is starting this little trend of restriction or control that I was not aware of until like connecting the dots this week. Also, my dad specifically would make homemade bread. Homemade honey wheat bread in the bread maker. It would smell incredible. Every friend that came over, every loaf that came out, every friend wanted like all the bread. So I got that bread all the time at home. So I would sell my sandwiches, my homemade bread sandwiches, at school or trade for the junk food that they had in their lunch. Their crappy peanut butter and jelly sandwich on their, Wonder Bread for my homemade, like, thick sliced stuff. And, it was just to get the junk, So looking back now, it's funny. But, like, I did those things. Like, I literally traded an awesome homemade sandwich for a junky one just because it was processed or it was, crap. And then also, with my mom constantly dieting, all I knew was, okay, we're doing good this week, oh, we failed, back to the old way of things. Like this constant yo-yoing, it just was something that, it was all I knew. I thought that was the normal, So that was that's about my mom. The second thing is the Clean Plate Club. Who was not a member of the Clean Plate Club? Everybody growing up was in the Clean Plate Club, meaning you eat what's on your plate, and if you don't finish your plate, you're gonna stay there until the plate is clean. And if that's at 12 o'clock in the morning, well, so be it. You will stay there till that plate is clean. So that was like not that extreme. Some of my friends did have that extreme. I just ate my food and whatever, but like that, the pressure to finish or complete your meal, all of it, to please the parents or, and I don't even know why that was a thing. I don't know. It's just like there's the stigma of throwing away food. Like, You know, nobody had that kind of cash to just throw away, you know, 3/4 of your meal if you only ate a quarter of it. Like, that was just wasteful. It was, you know, it was just not allowed. So I grew up finishing my plate, literally. Oh, and adding to that, you went to a friend's house, you had to clean your plate there too, which was never a problem for me because my friends all ate junky food, so I was like, yes, I will clean this plate, you know. So it just made that little bit of rebel behavior start forming. So anyways, the next thing is Italian traditions. My mom is Italian. Huge Italian family. You celebrate with food, and if you comment below if you're Italian, you get this. But if you're Italian and you have 6 people in your family, you will make enough food for 32 people. You know, like, the amount of food in an Italian family is like no other. Like, you celebrate with food. There's pasta that's been cooking since breakfast that you have to wait and smell all day till lunch. You know, the family gatherings, like, is a lot of food when it comes to an Italian tradition. You know, like, the life revolved around food. So that tradition obviously was continued on with my family, my grandparents, or my nonni. So it's something that also, another behavior that I picked up along the line is the celebrations with food. The quantity of food, the enormous amounts of food. To this day, when I have a gathering or party at my house, I will have enough food to feed 50 people if only 30 people are coming. It's like, I don't even know, but it happens. It's just what we do. So also growing up with the extremes, you know, like, one minute my mom would be dieting, 1 minute we're off dieting, 1 minute we're celebrating with food, other minute we can't have the food because we're dieting, you know. So it's just this constant contradiction. You know, you celebrate with food, but you can't have the food, and, you know, now it's okay this week, but it wasn't okay last week, and it's just confusing. You know, it creates more of those behaviors. And then the last thing that came to my mind, and I get this now, being so busy that you gobbled your food up to get to the next thing. You know, like, I did all the sports, my sister did all the sports, all the academics. You know, our schedules were so freaking full, we didn't have time to sit and eat for like 4 hours and enjoy and chew every bite. You know, you ate and you left. Half the time you ate on the road, you know, or at whatever sporting event, or, you know, whatever event or fundraiser, whatever the case may be, that's when you got your food in. So I now, with the same thing, my kids are in sports, you know, we're too busy working parents, you know, it's like trying to scramble everything in, and every 24 hours, it made me start eating faster, you know. Plus, I'm not someone who can leave dishes around in my house. I'm just weird like that. And if we have a game at 6, I have to have all the dishes in the dishwasher before I go. So that means I have to eat faster so that I can do that. And it's just like, you don't end up enjoying your food. You're gobbling that food right down, you know. So it's like, now you're not getting the signals from your brain that, okay, you've had enough, or, you know, because you've just ate it so fast, your body's like, what was that? You know? So again, more into that point of just busy and not taking the time to learn the behavior to eat and enjoy your food, recognize the hunger signals that your body will tell you. So with all that being said, at 18 years old, I moved off for college with my sister. We moved out of the house. I had my own job, had my own house. And basically you have a high disposable income, so I have no kids, you know, you have a job where I can make my own money so I don't have to live on anybody else's rules. I went like crazy. That first year of college, I probably put on 30 pounds. Instead of the freshman 15, I did like the freshman 30, because I was eating McDonald's at like 3 in the morning after partying, and like, because I could, you know, and it's that all or nothing approach. I never could have it, and now I can, you know, and it's like, it just piled the weight on. And because I was no longer in sports, now I'm an adult, I'm in real life, the sports that kept the weight off or in check, or was my stress management, all that stuff growing up, was no longer, even I'm sleeping in till like noon, 1 o'clock. There was no time for sports, because then you had to go to school and then gotta go to work. So you take away that piece of the puzzle, and now you're really lazy and you're eating crazy amounts of food. No wonder, you know? So, plus, you know, I didn't have the sports to cope. I didn't know that I was using all that activity level to keep me busy and be, happy and, and thin or athletic. So with that said, I know the deep root of the problem now. With all that said, I know the deep root of the problem. How do you fix it? How do I stop overeating, after what I've just discovered? This was years of learned behaviors, since day one when I was a little girl to now, 39 years old. Like, it's a lot of years, a lot of habits, a lot of, things that went on in your life and a lot of ways to cope. And you're at the point in your life where I blew up to 309 pounds eating all the sugary processed foods I could have because they weren't allowed when I was a kid, which the carbs were like, no limits when it came to those. So it was real easy to get to 309 pounds. Then I'm like, okay, I gotta fix this. I don't wanna live this way anymore. This way sucks. Go the opposite direction and go down to 180 pounds, losing 130 pounds, but I never addressed the emotional or mental side of the journey, the behaviors, never addressed all those things. I just changed the food and I exercised, but that's not enough. And now I know that. So then we go this way and we go back the other way and I'll just add a little bit of carbs in, just a little. I can control it. And then next thing you know it, I'm up 40 pounds from that, weight loss. It just reversed, 40 pounds of hard work. With all that said, I was like, during this week, I need to list the facts here. I gotta take the emotions out. Let's talk about the facts. And then we'll talk about the emotions after the facts are established. Because, emotions can go any way, but facts are facts. And sometimes if you need to make a choice or make a decision, sometimes you need all that concrete evidence right there to help make that best next choice. So, fact number one. I can't control myself around carbs, specifically simple carbs, like the processed carbs, the sugary carbs, the sugar, wheat, all those processed foods, you know what I'm saying? Those things that are so processed, they barely even resemble what they were originally. I want all those things. I can't control myself around those things. I have no off switch. I have literally zero off switch when it comes to those sugary, simple carbs. Fact. Fact number three, each time I allow myself to enjoy them, it gets worse and longer to recover. Because it's like that pull that it has on me, that grip that it has on me. It's like it gets harder and harder and harder to rebound every single time, One thing is another important fact, when I ate keto, carnivore, ketovore, I felt the best physically in all my life. I felt the best. I did not say I felt emotionally the best. I said physically. I had no gas, no bloat, all the energy, zero brain fog. I looked great. I lost weight. Everything was going for me physically when you eat keto. It's why I named my channel Keto Rewind. I love it. So with that said, the only missing part of all that was the dopamine hit that I would get from carbs. That fix that I could use to cope when I had anxiety or stress. I was not getting that from the keto way of eating, the carnivore way of eating, ketovore, that kind of thing, that I thought. The next thing is I didn't start regaining any weight until I let the carbs back into my life. Every single time I did what I was supposed to do, I did what I told myself I wanted to do, I lost weight, and I lost a ton of it. I lost it fast. Everything fell into place. I didn't start gaining until I was convincing myself, or the addict in me came up out of there and said, you can do it. It's just one meal. It's just a vacation. It's the justifying me that made me like, oh, you can have it. You know how to lose weight. You'll recover. you know, that side would just rear its ugly head. So I put on the weight because I kept believing this part of me, you know, which all along, it's lies. I thought I could control it. I really did. But now the fact is, I can't control that. I can't. The sugar addict in me is strong. I mean, she knows what to say to herself, you know, to get what she needs, to get that next fix. And it's tough to always fight her, you know. And I thought that doing exercise could undo all of those overeating indiscretions. But you can't, I mean, I don't have 4 hours a day to work out now, you know. 1 hour doesn't fix what I just did, you know. And then the part that's annoying is like when I go for a walk, you know, my calorie thing tells, oh, you burned 400 calories. You know, you could kill that 400 calories in like a bar, you know, like it's just like it take you 2 seconds to reverse a whole hour's worth of work, you know, with one food, one little serving of something. So it's like, it's maddening. But if you think about it, you can't over-exercise a bad diet. You can't fix it unless you had 4 hours a day. So what now? So here I am. I realized things that are facts about my journey. Now that I have these facts, what do I do moving forward? What do I want to do? So the obvious culprit in every single one of the times that I have been down, you know, where I'm not doing my best, I'm not crushing it that week, that's what I'm talking about. The common denominator has been simple carbs, the addict in me. And then it's in every single scenario where I fell apart. So the fun fact, adding to that, is the keto-fied versions of these foods, like, oh, a cinnamon roll. Here's a keto cinnamon roll. The keto-fied versions do not satisfy me at all. In fact, they piss me off because not only did I not get the dopamine hit, because it wasn't what I was looking for, it was something different. It's a keto version. It's not going to taste the same. I have a gross taste in my mouth. I'm not satisfied, and I still want that thing that I wanted in the first place. So it's like, ah! I know I just dropped a lot of facts right there. And I want you to just hear me out before you rush to judgment on everything I just said. I promise I will make it make sense by the next video or by the end of however many videos this takes to get my point across. I realize I said a lot of crazy things just now, but please, 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 before rushing to judgment, hear me out. I just didn't want to make this video super long. So I promise it will make sense. Just give me a second to finish my point. Okay, and if any of these things I just said resonate with you, feel free to leave a comment below. We're in this together. Thank you for your continued support. I'm Jess, you're watching Keto Rewind. Bye-bye!